Not gonna lie, if I didn't already know of Tucker Carlson, I watched this interview, I'd probably walk away with a positive perception of him. Yeah, I mean, this is a pathetic display by the New York Times. All they've done is like launder his image. They've literally made him more palatable to Democrats. Incredible, incredible, New York Times, incredible.
On the interview, we speak to our guest twice. So a few days later, I followed up with Tucker Carlson. We talked about his views on immigration, his disdain for both parties, and whether he thinks his rupture with President Trump is permanent.
Huh?
Hi.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. All right, you're a little loud in my ear. Let me turn you down.
I'm a little loud in many people's ears.
But
Too bad there are certain slurs that are banned on Twitch. Predominantly the ones, or specifically the one that starts with a C.
Thank you for taking time to talk to me again. I definitely wanted to circle back on something because we ended up our last conversation talking about Vice President Vance. But I also wanted to ask you about somebody else that you were close to, and that's Don Jr., the president's son. He supported your new media venture after you left Fox. So I'm wondering what your relationship is now, considering your comments about his father. Have you talked about it? Are you still in touch?
I've known Don for a long time. We share a common love of the outdoors, and we don't actually talk a lot about politics. We talk mostly about hunting and fishing. And so I have not spoken to him about the war in Iran, and probably won't. But, I think his views on that are pretty well known.
So you're still
Why is he so pink all the time? You can't ask that question. It's disrespectful for white people. And we don't tolerate any anti-white racism in here, okay?
touch, in other words.
Yeah, absolutely. And I expect to be. I mean, Don's a friend of mine.
All right, I just saw this chat message. Why is it all the leftist with the most capitalistic spending? Oh, squiggly line. I don't know all of the different names for the different modifiers on letters. I forget the term. Spending, oh. Oh, squiggly line. Tell me you guys didn't immediately know what I meant. What's the name? What's the term? And there are symbols above letters. What the fucking term? Accent mark? Is it just accent mark? Diacritics, I think, is the word I'm looking for. No, not the tilde. It's also not a tilde. Or actually, maybe it is. Actually, I can't remember. What do you guys think what the most capitalistic spending is? What do you guys think that's about? No, yeah, I'm looking for diacritics. It's just like when you have accent marks on things. And I don't know all of the names of the different accent marks. But I want you to know, I looked up on Google and it said, diacritics, often called accent marks, are small signs, dots, lines, squiggles. So, the squiggly line is a tilde. You guys are right. According to Google. I don't think that chatter's going to answer me.
And a really good guy, but our relationship is not political at all, really. In fact, I don't remember the last time I talked about politics.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it brings me to this wider issue about how you critique the president. You're always quite careful to say how much you...
Not gonna lie, if I didn't already know of Tucker Carlson, I watched this interview, I'd probably walk away with a positive perception of him. Yeah, I mean, this is a pathetic display by the New York Times. All they've done is like launder his image. They've literally made him more palatable to Democrats. Incredible, incredible, New York Times, incredible.
Like him personally.
Mm-hmm.
Are you worried about alienating his base, though?
Don't care, I'm calling it a squiggly line, based.
Because aren't they some of the same people who tune into your show?
Well, I don't think I'm careful about saying it. I want to be honest about saying it. I mean, in part because I was out promoting Trump, pretty aggressively for a long time. As for his base, I mean, I don't have a base. I'm not a candidate for office and don't plan to be.
You have an audience, though.
We do have an audience, yeah, and it's grown. And, it's not exactly clear who that is. I mean, I get these readouts from our tech guys. Well, we have, new people watch. Well, who are they? It's like, you don't really know.
Thank you for the clip. Why people do you?
But, this war is unpopular. The idea of sending Americans over to risk their lives to regime change in another part of the world is itself unpopular, whether it's in Iran or any other country. So, I mean, I think I'm on the side of the majority in this country. And maybe the numbers reflect that. But
At Denims, I work in video games marketing. We 100% know who's watching what, when, and why. That was like demographics, not knowing the demographic of content online was true in like the first maybe 5 to 10 years of the internet. And it hasn't been true since then.
I don't really think about that when I'm thinking through what we talk about, who I interview.
Because I mean, when you do look at your page on YouTube, you do definitely see that the numbers are much bigger when you talk about the war in Iran. And so...
well, we're in a war with Iran, and it's the biggest thing that's happened in my lifetime.
What's the question that she's trying to...
And the potential consequences include nuclear war. And so it's an inherently big deal, and it's being ignored or downplayed by most of the rest of the media. So I think we benefit from taking it seriously, but it's inherently serious. That's my view of it. And so I would talk about it, almost no matter who watched or didn't, because I think it's that important.
One more question about the president.
Why did she... Okay, sorry. I must have missed an earlier segment on... Maybe I blanked out on something. Maybe I got on like a 5-second coma. Why did she say your views are better when you talk about the Iran war? And then she just dropped the conversation. Okay. She's like asking questions to rehab his image. She's like, so, I noticed your views are really high. And he's like, yeah, well, people care about it because it's a war that we're in. Oh, okay. That makes sense to me. Yeah. So what's your favorite color? Okay. What's your favorite dinosaur? Wow. Really? What the fuck?
Comments have clearly gotten under his skin. I mean, he's posted long screeds on Truth Social about you.
Mm-hmm.
And, to refer again to those texts that came out in the Fox News Dominion legal fight, there was one from you saying that Trump is good at destroying things. And you wrote,
yes,
he's the undisputed world champion of that. He could easily destroy us if we play it wrong. I mean, do you worry about him destroying you now? He's got a lot of power.
I don't worry about him destroying me. I mean, I turn 57 next month. My kids are grown. I mean, there's not really, what can you do to me? I don't work for anybody, and I'm not that worried about my own life anyway. But he does have the capacity to destroy, and I do think that it's a binary. You're either creating or destroying in this life. And I think...
ask Don Lemon what he could do to you, huh?
He has proved through the course of his life better at destroying than at creating. I mean, he's created some, but I have a strong preference for creation over destruction. And, he's look, one of the reasons that I appreciated Trump from day one, in addition to always enjoying his company and finding him hilarious, is because he was very good at assailing the foundations of rotten structures. And I knew that they were rotten because I am from Washington and I knew those institutions well. And I knew that despite, how they described themselves, they were basically just fatuous and long outdated and probably deserved to be taken down, like a house with rotten sills. And Trump was great at exposing that and taking them down. USAID, as someone from DC, I knew a lot about USAID, and I thought, why are we doing this? This is counterproductive to American interests, and Trump just went in there and took it out. And I like that. But that is the first step. Of course, that can't be the end stage. The first step is you scrape the old property, then you build something new and better and beautiful. And we haven't gotten to that part of the program. And it's not even really being promised at this point, which is troubling.
Do you see a path toward supporting him again? I mean, if he suddenly took actions that you agreed with, do you see yourself coming back into the fold?
I'd support anybody who made life in the United States better. Of course. It's not.
Denims, I've been suffering through this Tucker Carlson thing with my birds. Support animals are a necessity, correct? You have to understand I needed that, all right?
It's absolutely not personal, and that's part of what I hope to convey by always adding the caveat, but I like Trump because it's not personal. So I would always support and I mean literally anybody, no matter how unlikely.
Tucker's dad was literally the head of a CIA front media op, and he's bitching about other CIA front aid ops. Well, you have to understand that it's beneficial for him to do it now. Did you consider that? Fucking imbecile.
The person, no matter how much I disagreed with his previous policies or reviled him as a man or whatever, it almost doesn't matter. If someone's doing a good thing I want to be honest enough to say, God bless you for doing that. And I support that thing. So it's really about what a person is doing. It's about the fruit rather than the perception. You make this country better. I don't care who you are. I will cheer you on because I live here. And I want the country to get better. It's not getting better. Now.
And that's why you're so pro Mamdani, right?
It's very hard for me to imagine any scenario in which we look back on the last 2 months, this war with Iran, and say that really made us more prosperous, safer, happier, united our country. I just can't imagine that. But then, a lot of things I haven't been able to imagine. So if that happens, I will be the very first person to say, well, I was completely wrong about that, and I'm sorry. And I'm grateful that I was wrong. And I will really mean it. Because I'm not, again, I don't have any partisan agenda at all. The Republican Party could not be more repulsive to me. The Democratic Party, same thing. So,
oh, fuck off, dude. He's literally doing the Trump strat of like, I'm going to pretend like I have my own party and I'm outside of the system. This guy is the biggest conservative Republican cuck that ever was, man.
I just am in this weird non-aligned place, and it's totally sincere. Like, I think the parties, and I'm saying this on the basis of a lot of knowledge, are rotten beyond repair, or at least simple repairs.
Can you imagine creating a new party? I mean, can you imagine there being a different party that would more closely align to your views and perhaps others? I mean, if you're saying that these parties are rotten beyond repair, what are you proposing, if anything?
Let me just say, just to be more precise, nothing is rotten beyond repair. Repairs are always possible.
Okay, because you said rotten beyond repair.
I meant it's a cliche, and I shouldn't have used it on those grounds. Rotten beyond remodeling, I would say. This can't, you can't just put a new coat of paint or fresh drywall on these structures because they are.
You haven't seen my landlord.
With rot. Okay, so I would like to see them repaired. That would be the simplest solution. I don't think that's likely to happen. So, of course, I would be thrilled to see the rise of a party that represented the majority of Americans, at least by intent. Look, it's not even a question of, are you for this tax rate or are you for that tax rate? It's a question of orientation. Are you going to have a political party whose number one aim is helping the people who put it in power, helping the citizens of the United States? And neither party can say that, honestly, because neither party is very interested in its own citizens. The Democratic Party is much more interested in importing new non-citizens, making them citizens and making reliable voters out of them. And the Republican Party is much more interested in, fighting wars for a foreign country. So whatever you think of those aims, neither one is focused on the needs of Americans. And I think...
And you absolutely would be focused on the needs of Americans. Majority of Americans, this motherfucker is good. I feel for the people who will fall for this, man. Fuck.
Somebody should be in a representative democracy. Like, there should be a party that is speaking for most people. Am I going to build it? Absolutely not. I'm not a politician, but I would support it. As with whatever I had, I would support it.
And who do you imagine being the head of that party?
I have literally no idea.
So could it be someone on the left?
Well, it could be anybody. I'm not even sure what the left means at this point. I mean, I have some very good friends on the left. Now, they're not conventional West Side liberals. They're not, they don't have signs in this house, we believe in science, like that sort of dopey lifestyle liberalism of my childhood. Like, I think that's kind of played out. Like angry ladies telling you to put your mask on. Like, no one wants that. But I have some sincere left-wing friends who have a critique of economics and foreign policy that I agree with completely, or substantially agree with, for sure.
One last question on this. Obviously, there
was something a little bit like funny about the world that we're in, where having a sign that says, I believe in science is evidence that you're the idiot. Like, it's how you signal to everyone else that you're not an idiot. You make fun of the people that say that they believe in science.
In Maine, Graham Plattner is a Democrat who is vying to be the Senate candidate. Is that someone that whose ideas you are interested in at all?
I mean, I certainly appreciate his foreign policy views, a lot. And I appreciate how different they are from everybody else's in his party. I haven't met him, and I plan to meet him. I don't know a lot about his other views. I think at this point, with AI posed to destroy some high percentage of American jobs, there's really no justification for immigration of any kind into the United States. You can't say, well, we're going to, 30% of lawyers are going to be out of work, and this percentage of software coders or accountants or, any other sort of support a family type job. They're all going to evaporate because of this new technology. But we have a bunch of new H-1B people we'd like you to meet. That's just cruelty, both to, and most important, to American citizens, but also to the immigrant. Like, what are we doing? So anybody who's for diluting our labor pool with foreign labor is, clearly not acting in the interest of the country. And I couldn't support anyone like that. But, the prerequisite to having a rational conversation.
The white nationalist doesn't want people to come to his country. Whoa, shocking development. I can't believe that the white nationalist wouldn't want people that were, I don't know, a certain color, diluting our country. What does that sound like? What does that sound like? Nazi fork found in Nazi kitchen.
Conversation about immigration is deracializing it. Okay, it's not everything is about race.
I am so.
The truth is, sorry.
No, I was finish your thought, and then I was going to jump in.
Well, just we are looking at the elimination of some very large unspecified number of American jobs due to technology, and there are going to be a lot of unemployed people, including a lot of unemployed immigrants in this country, and
Okay, how much is left? Let's see. I don't know if I can watch any more of this garbage.
Potential for disunity and actual disruption, rupture of the social fabric to the extent it still exists. And so you have to shut down immigration right now.
I got bullied for asking a question. I hate it here. Sorry. Maybe I should add in the rules of this channel. Streamer bullies chatters and chatters bully streamer back.
I'm glad you brought up immigration because I was thinking about what you said in our last conversation about race, and I'm going to quote you here. You said, most of the debates about race, ethnicity, religion, to some extent immigration, are less resonant long-term than debates about economics. And you said race is thrown up as a distraction. And you are someone who has spent a lot of time, though, talking about those issues, country poorer and dirtier and more divided. And you've long warned that immigrants are going to replace what you call legacy Americans.
Well, they have. The overwhelming majority of new jobs in the last 5 years have gone to immigrants, not Americans. So
but wait,
it's not
let me
really
finish.
a debate, actually.
But you called Iraqis semi-literate primitive monkeys. I mean, you've used language that many find.
What year did I say that? Do you know?
I think it was in 2018.
I did not say that in 2018.
I think he's right. He didn't say it in 2018. I'm pretty sure it was before then. I'm pretty sure it was like 2009 he said that. But like, dog, you're 57, man. Oh, you said it when you were 40. For sure. See, the excuse of like, what year was that? That works when like you were literally a teenager. When you were like 13. When you're 13, you can kind of get away with saying a lot of stupid shit because, you're 13. You can't be like, I was a mere 45-year-old child. I didn't know any better. It's like, oh my God. Denims, people can't grow and change. I know you're being sarcastic, but just in case there's anyone here that thinks that they're not being sarcastic, I think there's a difference between the family dinner heir and conservative talk show host who's been doing conservative talk show host work for decades that profits off of the suffering of other people that will gladly get vaccinated and then tell other people, we don't know what's in the vaccine. I'm just asking questions. Where are we? Who are we? I don't know. Killing, like, literally millions of people, by the way, is different from, like, your fucking cousin or your aunt that doesn't know anything.
Oh, no, 2008. I'm so sorry. Yeah, 2008.
Oh, okay.
So 2008.
Right, yeah. So the point is I'm a racist? Is that
No,
what you're
no. The
saying?
point is, were you
What
part
is
of
the
the
point?
distraction? The question is, were you part of the distraction? Because you were
sure.
using those,
Also, hi, Spencer.
talking about those issues quite a lot.
I wasn't actually talking about those issues quite a lot. But I would say I have been involved in many distractions, including that. I'm not saying race is immaterial. Race is important. Race is real. It's not a social construct. It's a biological reality. There are
It's okay. Can I suggest something? I know that people like Tucker Carlson are just being dishonest when they say this stuff. And they're like, well, the color of your skin is literally real. Like, unless you're telling me that, like, melanin doesn't change and that isn't biologically hardwired in you. Okay. Our groupings of things are a random categorization that serves no purpose or no significantly important purpose. We don't break people up into like the tallies and the shorties. You're not like an assigned tall at birth. And it's like, I see, you're 5'11". Well, that says a lot of things. And arguably you would say, and arguably it can be, there are important things to know about people's health and their height. Generally, people who are taller, hard to say to you guys, they do die sooner. Yeah. It has a lot to do with the fact that, like, eating calories kills you. Like, eating food kills you. And if you're taller, you're probably eating more food. Yeah. And eating less food. It also, that's why, like, I don't know about you guys. I feel like I run into a lot more really short old people. And I know you get shorter as you get older, but I don't feel like I run into a lot of, like, I feel like all of the old people I run into that are pretty old are like very short. They're not like average short or something. So anyways, yeah, W heightus. My point is, like, you can make the argument that, like, well, we should break people into these groups. That's shorty propaganda. Stay coping, tallies. Denims, how tall are you? I am average American height, 5'5". So I get all of the benefits of being barely tall enough to reach the highest shelf, but kind of mostly not, and none of the negatives. Short, fuck you. I'm 3 apples tall. Sorry. The point is, we don't make that random. We don't like have like a cutoff point, or like we don't make a category for that. It is in your genetics how tall you're going to be. Now, obviously, nutrition plays a big factor in everything, but also smaller animals live longer. Taller and bigger animals are just more likely to get cancer. I don't know enough about that, but Denims, I think maybe you should stop trying to talk on tall matters and mind your business. I'd say sit down, but you'd still be short. Well, you know what, man? At least I can be more comfortable than you on an airline. At least I can sleep in most places without having to bend my knees. At least the shower is always at the right height for me. At least I've never bumped my head into a door frame. The war on talls has begun. Anyone who's 3 apples tall or shorter, get behind me. Get behind me quick! What was I saying? I'm never subscribing again. How do I chop? If I chop my legs off, will I eat less calories? I don't think so. I don't think so. Yes, Denims, but the day you need that condiment on the top shelf, you'll have to take this back. You see, we have the technology, and it's just like a step ladder or like a little like stool. What do you do in an airplane? Get rid of your legs. You're like, don't need these. Put these off to the side. That's what I thought. It's kind of like the anti-heat, anti-cold behavior where it's like, people always say cold is better because you can always put on more clothes. You can always get taller with an instrument, with a small stool. You can't get shorter. Like, you can't like, you have to bend your knees. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know why we're on this. Sorry. John Brown, thank you for the 5 gift subs. Thank you for joining the cause against tallies. Thank you. moving on though, there's a lot of different characteristics that we have, but we don't like group people into these characteristics, even though those characteristics that are genetically decided, or like they're decided by your DNA, do have implications for your health. Like, for example, being tall versus being short. We don't have like a random cutoff line on that, right? And race is the same way. Yes, the color of your skin is determined by your genetics, but the fact that we feel the need to like specifically make it a category where we are going to put all of these people in these different buckets is worthless. It doesn't do anything. It's a category we made up based on an attribute people have. In the same way that if we made a shorties and tallies category, we made that category. It is intrinsic that people are the height that they are, or that people have the skin color that they have. But we made the labels and the categories that we put all people in buckets in. Especially when it no longer becomes a useful tool, it makes no sense to continue to use these buckets. So when we talk about race not being a social construct, it's a biological reality. Yes, the color of your skin is a biological reality. It is determined by things outside of your control. But the racial groups we invented, those are social constructs. Again, if we had an alternate universe where we had a group called the shorties and the tallies, and you could do this for anything, like any different attribute that people have. This is propaganda. I can't believe I'm being fed smurfology. Smurfology. Smurfology is kind of crazy. I'm surprised no tallies in the chat have said, like, would you say I can't hear you down there? Someone hear a mouse squeaking? But yeah, there's a lot of things that we don't like group people based on, right? Like, and that could potentially be useful to consistently group people based on those things and care about those groupings. But we don't, generally speaking, because people don't tend to fit neatly into boxes, it's not really useful. Sorry, were you speaking? Sorry, I mean squeaking. Short people fit into boxes. Stop it. 2028 Republican scumbag candidate on the screen when I pop in. Sorry, that's my bad. What is this, a stream for ants? Okay, all right, okay. Enough. All right. Getting a little feisty. All right. So yes, it is a social construct. The literal aspect of the attribute, yeah, that's biologically real or whatever. The groupings we made are not. AKA why white, the category of the white race, has changed dramatically over the past, 3 centuries? More? Because we made that grouping up. We said, this is everyone that is allowed to fit in this bucket. And then we're like, okay, fine. Italians can also fit in this bucket. Okay, fine. Greek people can also fit in this bucket. Okay, fine. Irish people are also okay in this bucket. Like, if that's how the category is no longer a biological reality. That category is now a social construct. We made this bucket to put different groups of people in it, and we decided at some point, this can go in, this can get out, this can go in, this can get out. The only biological reality is the color of the skin that people have, not the grouping that we created. Also, technically, the white category didn't even exist until 300 years ago. Also true. Maybe if we stack enough social constructs, you might be able to reach the salt I put on the top shelf. You make one analogy. One.
Racial differences, real racial differences. They're much smaller than gender differences, but they're still real. But my point was the one.
Let me just say another thing. Yesterday, I got really mad. There are things that make me very mad sometimes. And yesterday, I got really mad. Because it pisses me the fuck off when I see someone describing gender differences without specifying that we cannot know for a fact how much of the gender difference is because of socialization and nature. Nurture. And it makes me piss the fuck off, dude. A lot of the things that we don't, historically, over the course of human history, especially the past, 100 years, we have realized more and more and more things are changeable. Like for the longest time, we thought like voices were pretty much set in stone and you can't change your voice. Like once you get an assigned voice at birth and then you are stuck with that voice for the rest of your life. But the reality is, because there's so much modern literature on trans people now, we realize and we've learned a lot about voices and how where your natural voice rests is actually very changeable. And that voice training is absolutely effective for anyone, regardless of whether you're trans or you're cis. And if you don't, by the way, chat, I'm not even joking. You can look at the literature on this. If you're cis and you don't like your voice, you can actually train your voice to something else. No hormones necessary or anything. Like you can literally just train your voice. And what effectively happens is you get so used to speaking in like a different octave or like speaking at a different pitch or with like a different level of like warmth, that now becomes your natural voice. And if you think about it, it makes sense because people's voices do change. Like I swear to God, Alex Jones did not sound that frog-like. He did not sound that frog-like. I swear. Go back like a decade. I swear. He sounded significantly more human and significantly less frog. Watch an old Northern Lion video. Yeah, I never understand people who like pull up old clips or videos from people, either YouTubers or streamers or anyone. It's like people's voices change. And honestly, a lot, maybe this is like, I don't know, wrong. I don't know. I feel like my voice and my mannerisms are very affected by things that I like in the moment. And as my taste changes, I think I change, which I think is just how everybody works, but maybe I'm mistaken. And I will pick up like, not quite like vocal stims, but like certain things that I really like. I might start doing them jokingly or accidentally. And then suddenly it's just like part of how I speak. They replaced him with an amphibian after he called out the 12-dimensional AI world that we inhabit. Fuck! I spoke like a brat for a whole summer. Are we bringing back pirate software discourse now? I mean, and again, once you start speaking in the same voice for long enough, that just becomes your voice. I do think it's funny, the idea that there are a bunch of streamers that are faking their voices. It's really hard to fake your voice as a streamer when you talk for hours every day. It's difficult. It's very difficult. That's probably just more likely what their voice is now, and your voice can change. So, I don't know. Anyways, what Democrat do you think can win in the next presidential election? Currently, I think the only person is AOC. I will say originally your voice sounded super low to me when I started watching you, but it doesn't seem as deep now. I don't think I've even really changed my settings. If anything, I think I make my settings accidentally a little bit deeper than I actually sound in real life. Because when I record myself on my phone, I sound very different than when I listen to my stream. But moving on from that, there's a lot of stuff that we thought was very immutable. And basically study after study shows that so much of what we thought was intrinsic to whatever, so like genetics, is actually not so intrinsic. And there are a lot of things that you can do that can push you towards different directions or whatever. So like, yeah, it makes me really, I get really pissed when I see like studies about like gender differences. And it's like, okay, did you make sure to like find people for this study that were not predisposed to doing X, Y, and Z thing? Okay, well, did you find people for, okay, how can you test for that? And then people will speak about this. It'll be like the original study says, it's hard to say how much of this difference is caused by socialization and general practice here and here and here. But like, this is just what our study shows that exists, that there is currently in our society a difference. And then people will say, see, this is how you know that it's innate. It's like, what? You literally can't account for these variables. Hello? Like I was reading like this study on hand-eye coordination and precision and some other stuff. And the study that I read, it literally said it's hard to say how much of these changes are, or these differences are because of the types of things that boys do when they are younger versus girls do when they're younger. And that like, if you are in sports, maybe you would be more likely to develop these skills when you're very young and retain them for longer. But we have no way of knowing because we can't really it's really hard to test for these things and to test for every single variable. And then people will see that and be like, well, it's pretty much guaranteed that X, Y, and Z. It's like, I hate you people. I fucking hate you people.
that I made initially, which is for most Americans, people who are born here, Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, doesn't matter, of any race, the real concerns are economic. And I do think that certain forces, the banks, people loaning the money, have a real incentive to foment dissent within the population against each other. Fight amongst yourselves while we continue to charge you 25% interest on your credit card. And as I said, when we first discussed this, I noticed this after Occupy Wall Street, which was like the very first left-wing movement that I thought, I kind of like the theme here. I mean, I wasn't, whatever. I'm not camping out on the sidewalk in front of JP Morgan, but the idea that you could have a global financial crisis and no one responsible for it goes to jail, and the only people who suffer are the people who took the loans, not the ones who issued the loans, I felt like that's just not fair. And so I supported the idea of holding the creditors accountable for their crimes. And none ever were held accountable by Bush or Obama, as you know. And then I noticed, and this is measurable actually by a Lexis search of New York Times stories, that the term racist, racism, white supremacy, those exploded in New York Times stories, and not just the New York Times, but the rest of the legacy media. And my interpretation of this fact is that the media was used to distract the population with
But
racial
you were part
conflict.
of the media, Tucker.
Well, I've already said I have been part of many distractions. It took me a long time to recognize this. And I'm trying to be honest about it now. Now, again, there's been an enormous amount, particularly in the New York Times, but not just, of anti-white hate. Which is like totally normalized across the American media. Whiteness is bad. White supremacy is evil.
You know what's insane to me? The way that like centrists and right-wingers, same thing, take things that people on the left have said and then twist them to become something that didn't exist. Or that's never existed, that nobody said. It's unfortunate how good he is at weaving and sneaking racism and Nazi shit into real narratives about economic conditions. Yeah. Like, I kind of like, I'm still thinking about the fact that in that Shoe On Head video that I can't finish that video. That was too brutal of a watch. Where she like reads out like not a chat message. She reads like some article, and the article is just saying like, I don't want to play Pragmata because I'm kind of like over this particular genre where, like you rescue or like have like a small child companion and you kind of like live out like a little father fantasy or whatever. I'm just not interested in that. And she's like, because you hate men. It's like, so if someone told you they didn't want to watch a rom-com because they are kind of over rom-coms, you would say you hate women? Obviously not. If someone said, I don't really want to watch Marvel movies, I'm kind of like tired of Marvel movies right now, you wouldn't be like, what does that say about you as a person? It must mean that you're bigoted against some group of people. It's like, no, you can just get tired of something and want something different, especially when it comes to media. Hello? Last of Us slop. Well, I don't even know that Pragmata is slop. It's probably a good game. It's got like weird fans because fans and fandoms can ruin media sometimes. But what was I hate Spider People. Okay, Jay Jonah. It's pretty good. I'll probably throw it in my Steam wishlist soon. Dang. There's a point. Oh, so you hate mutants, huh? No, I was trying to say something else. I was trying to say something greater than that. Oh, right. Yeah. It's like, why is it that discussing how like whiteness as a construct is detrimental and whiteness as a construct is a construct meant to other, which is accurate. You make this bucket, here are the acceptable groups that are allowed to be in here, and here's everything else. And how historically it's been used for the purpose of segregation, for the purpose of racism. That has nothing to do with white. Like people, like it's not that all white people are evil, that whiteness is bad, that being white is bad. It's that you can be able to discuss this and say, hey, yeah, this category has been used in the United States to exclude people that we have othered historically, like Irish Americans, like Italian Americans, like Black Americans, like Asian Americans, and that we've exploited. And some of these groups we consider to be white now. So yeah, that was... Make an artificial... Yeah, I mean, you're generating an artificial hierarchy. Oh, what was I? There was a greater point. There was like one last thing to tie all of this into a nice little bow. Oh yeah, it makes me so mad when like right-wingers are dishonest like this. It's like, fuck you, man. We're trying to have an actual discussion about this thing that actually impacts people's lives, that is actually used as a tool to oppress other people. And we always have to make it into, that's just because you hate white men. It's like, no, dude. Oh my God. So fucking infuriating.
Every other kind of ethnic awareness is great and celebrated, but white ethnic awareness is Nazism, et cetera, et cetera.
Because, okay, first of all, white ethnic awareness is Nazism is so amazing as a sentence. It's just like awareness. It's so amazing. As an idea, first of all, when is the last time that any group other than dog owners has said no more celebrating of the 4th of July? No one is allowed to do that ever. No more celebrating Christmas in the United States. What? No more spring break. What? Who is stopping white Americans from engaging in white American behavior? Last time I checked, if you want to do some fucking donuts, in your fucking parking lot, you can go ahead and do that. Last time I fucking checked, I don't know, maybe something has changed recently. Second, wouldn't it be funny to like go to Italy or like go to Greece and be like, do you guys celebrate your whiteness? What do you guys do for white ethnic awareness here in Italy? If you want to talk about like nationality or ethnicity, shouldn't you actually talk about something that actually has some like basis and founding and backing? Don't ask the French that. That concept might actually bang in Poland though, low key. That's actually true. That's actually true. My favorite is like when you see like those statue profile pictures on Twitter and they're like, why don't we celebrate more of this whiteness? More European heritage. It's like, I would love for you to pull this photo of this like Austrian girl playing on the piano and then talk to like a British person or like a German person or a Greek person and be like, this is your culture and you should celebrate more of this white culture. Like they would look at you like you were a fucking idiot if they didn't beat the shit out of you. This like overbroad generalization of like every white person just being exactly the same is so reductive and bad. Like not effective at anything in any shape, way, or form.
This absurd and pretty malicious double standard. And that's annoying, and I've noted it many, many times. But ultimately, what I'm saying is that people care about their economic fortunes and their ability to pay their bills and secure a better life for their kids. And those things are way more important to most Americans I have met than anything related to race. And that's why all this stuff about whiteness being bad
goes to Germany and shows them a McDouble. This is your white heritage.
Which is like an outrageous slur if you think about it. All of that, in my opinion, was designed as a distraction from the fact that the American economy was becoming ever more pyramid-shaped, ever more lopsided, ever more, basically ever less middle class. The middle class was no longer the majority after 2015. That was not even noted in most publications. And like, that's a tragedy. And no one even said anything about it. And instead, it was just like, white people hate black people hate white people. We got played. That's my view.
You brought up,
we got played, says the guy who contributed to the great replacement theory. Okay, dude. I'm going to be honest, Denims, I just had a conversation with my friend. We're both Czech. And she was like, well, these Muslims that come here should hold the same cultural values. And I asked her, what's our culture? And she was like, well, we use sarcasm a lot. It's like, no Muslim people have ever been sarcastic. Ever. Never happened. Never happened, ever. Also, you gotta love, like, the culture of being sarcastic. That's it. That's the full culture.
Occupy Wall Street and your affinity with that. And you said in our previous interview, the future that I imagine is not a future in which we're yelling at each other about race. It's a future in which people are legitimately revolutionary, maybe even violent, on the basis of thwarted economic opportunity. And it made me wonder, do you believe capitalism is an evil system, a necessary evil, something else? And also, what do you mean about legitimately revolutionary?
I certainly didn't mean to endorse violence. I can't imagine I would never say that intentionally. I'm amazed that you have a tape of me saying that, and I just want to disavow it. I'm not for violence, period.
Okay.
It's against my religion. And so I just want to be very, very clear that I'm totally opposed to violence. What I mean is the current system, and I don't know what you would call our economic system. And I'm often told it's free market capitalism. It doesn't bear any resemblance to what I thought free market capitalism was. I'm not sure the name is important, except as a way to mislead and bully people into being quiet about it. But any economic system in which, the overwhelming majority of the rewards go to an ever shrinking number of people or proportion of people.
Dude, co-opting, again, progressive and leftist talking points is insane to me, dude. Just so that he can make rich people's lives even better. Like taking socialist messaging and being like, yeah, this shrinking number of people have all of the wealth. Also, I would absolutely only put policies that increase that wealth disparity, but we need to do something about this
system because it makes people revolutionary. I saw this in Venezuela, which I visited as a child. It was a prosperous kind of first world country, beautiful country, actually.
They're stealing our shit. Well, I mean, you have to understand there's no such thing as a right-wing populist. It doesn't exist. Like that are actually right wing and populist. It's like an oxymoron.
Mm.
And then it proceeded.
They only pretend to be populist, and then they proceed to only implement policies that are not populist.
On the path we're on, and the resentment built, and you had this very volatile combination of electoral politics, a democracy, and an economic oligarchy, and those two don't work well together. And you had a left-wing populist take over, Hugo Chavez, and the results are now well known. So I don't know what you call this, but it's not working, and it's making for a very volatile country. People have to own things; they have to be vested in the country in order to de-radicalize them. But when people own nothing, they've got nothing to lose. I mean, these are very obvious observations.
Two last questions. You can dispute the premise, which I'm sure you will.
I don't know that I will.
I started dropping frames for some reason. My internet got fried for like half a second, but I think we're good.
But I want to preempt it anyway, just because I think in our brief time together.
Thank you for preparing me.
In our brief time together, I feel like I've come to understand a bit about you. All right, I'd say two of the most seminal events in your professional life were one, the Iraq War, and two, the election of Donald Trump. That's the premise. You were for both of them. Now you say that they were both mistakes. So I guess why should anyone after that track record listen to you?
Well, people probably won't,
But has it caused some self-reflection about?
Oh, has it caused it? Well, I admitted it. So, of course, it has caused a lot of self-reflection. And I wouldn't say, by the way, that the 2016 election of Donald Trump was a mistake. I didn't mean to suggest that. I was addressing this last year and like.
3 getting owned on Jon Stewart on your show, by Jon Stewart on your show. Yeah. This it's so, I forgot to say, I stepped away for a second, I think. Or I wasn't here or something. I don't remember what happened. I think I got up for the fan and then I forgot. There was a segment earlier in this interview where he was like, well, I don't really think I'm that savvy. Like, I don't think I'm that interview savvy or anything. It's like, it pissed me the fuck off. And he's like, maybe I'm underselling it. I'm so sick and tired of this. Like, I don't even know what I'm doing, honestly. I don't even know. I'm just like a guy. I'm just a little guy. Pisses me the fuck off, dude. It's like, you know exactly what you're doing. You manufactured consent for other wars because you knew it was the correct strategy at the time and it was the winning play. And now you know that it's not. So that's why you're doing what you're doing.
what happened to the campaign promises that a lot of us repeated enthusiastically and thought were real.
But if you're saying
and
that Donald Trump could lead this country to a nuclear war, which is essentially what you said could happen, then how could the 2016 election of Donald Trump not have been something that you regret? I mean, those two things, I mean, if I was going to vote for someone who might lead us to a nuclear holocaust, I would perhaps reconsider my vote.
Well, I don't know if you remember well, but that year was a choice between the lady who killed Gaddafi for no reason and turned Libya into a gaping wound, which it remains, for no reason, and then laughed about it, and a guy who said the Iraq war was a mistake. So for me, that was not even a close call. I mean, Hillary Clinton, particularly in foreign policy questions, was
Denims. So men can't be cocky, and they can't be modest, and they can't be lazy, and they can't have hobbies, and they can't be Nazis, and they can't grift to the left. What do you want me to do here? And I just pull up like a video of like Morgue Pie stream.
Ask neocon from my perspective. So I don't regret that. I'm grateful that he won in 2016. My only point, once again, was he campaigned against the things he's now doing a year and a half ago. So I just apologized for repeating those campaign slogans as if they were true. I thought they were true. They turned out not to be true, and I feel bad about that.
The only instance where it's like, I give the smallest amount of charitability, not to people like Tucker Carlson. He knows what he's doing. He's making a fat check, tricking voters. But like for the actual voters, the only time that I will give them even the smallest modicum of charitability is, well, he said he wasn't going to put us in any wars. Like, I'm sorry that you just found out that he lied. I find it crazy when they're like, I can't believe he put the tariffs in. It's like, he said that he was going to. I can't believe he's deporting all these people. He said that he was going to. What do you mean? You voted for him, and that was like the two major promises he made. Hello? I agree. AOC is the only viable option right now, but my female lib friends are like, we can't run a woman. Americans clearly hate women too much. I'm like, bro, we are scientists, and your N is two horrible. War criminal girl boss is so frustrating. I mean, again, like I've said every time about this, I think I remember the very first time I said this, people were really mad, but maybe it was my presentation, so I'll take a little bit of the onus on that. But yes, being a woman matters, and you have to be better because, like, I guarantee you, in my personal opinion, I think Hillary Clinton and Kamala Harris ran about as good a campaign as Biden did. You're just allowed to be a little bit more mediocre, at the very least, if you're running as a Democrat, as a man. But the solution to that is no more women. The solution to that should be, okay, let's run a fucking amazing candidate. Let's put up a candidate that everyone has to agree is fucking amazing. So in this case, for example, putting up AOC would be a great play. Now, Biden ran more to the left than either of them. I don't really know that that's even very true. I mean, I think that him running on canceling student loan debt was the play. I agree. But besides that, I don't really think he ran a much better campaign. I think the campaign was run about the same as the Hillary campaign and about the same as the Kamala campaign. I don't think it was that. If anything, Kamala Harris was sold as being even more left-wing than Biden was. And it just wasn't even good enough. He certainly wasn't sincere, yeah. But yeah, anyways. I totally disagree with you on that. On what? That he was promising police reform, which was huge in 2020. Biden famously promised a lot of left-wing stuff he co-opted from Bernie Sanders. Also, Trump was currently the president and COVID. There's a 100-page paper called the Biden-Sanders Action Plan. The problem is what you guys are describing is not fundamentally the difference that was made in the polls, because you have to understand, for the majority of people that are voting for Biden, and you talk to the average voter, they're not voting exclusively based on policy. They're voting on messaging. They're voting on how the campaign was marketed in the public eye. And fundamentally, it was not marketed significantly better under Kamala or under Hillary. Hillary's was like, they had no counterplay. They were all defense, which was horrible. But yeah, I mean, I would argue that Biden won. A big part of why Biden won, if you wanted to contribute it to anything, it was because it was coming off the back of 2016 Trump. If you wanted to remember that. Denims is just forgetting all of the evil shit Clinton said in those Cablegate emails. No, I'm describing to you what the average voter thinks, not what a bunch of politics frogs, nerds like me and you think. And when you talk to voters, when you talk to everyday average voters, the vast majority of them are like, I don't know, Biden seems like he seems reasonable and like anything's better than Trump. I'm down. I think I'm done with, I think we're done with Trump. I think we're done. After, like immediately after, I can't. It was marketed as like a return to normalcy. Yeah. So yeah, that's all. I feel like that's, again, we can sit here and nitpick and recognize all of the differences in the campaigns and recognize how bad Hillary's campaign was and how bad Kamala's campaign was and the distinct differences in these campaigns. But I'm talking about how it was marketed and how the majority of the public saw that. Exactly, Katharina. We are abnormally high info, even if we share sentiments that are fundamentally in the interest of the working class. Correct. Biden also had the benefit of the Trump disaster, the pandemic. Correct.
Often wrong. I say that and I mean it. It's not a pose. And I do think, last thing I'll say is I think if you force yourself to admit you're wrong.
Also, another thing that people are forgetting is like Hillary Clinton won the popular vote and Kamala Harris had like record donations. She got like $1 billion. They just spent it horribly and they didn't market the campaign well. It's not that people weren't down for them. It's not that people thought that they were too right wing. The average voter did not think that. The average voter thought, I'm with her. It just wasn't motivating enough. It's just, this is what I mean when I say their marketing was bad. Trump's marketing, when I say marketing, I say make America great again. That's what I'm talking about. Trump's marketing is really good. And I think Biden's marketing was an easy slam dunk. They just had to not completely fuck up. But yeah, the policies were bad. Yeah, correct.
And I
horribly, I think that podcast set was absolutely necessary.
always forced my 4 children to admit they were wrong. I didn't do a lot of spanking. The punishment I meted out was forcing them to admit that they had done something wrong. That's enough usually. I think if you do that, it makes you wiser over time and you're less likely. It doesn't mean you're not going to make mistakes. I will make many mistakes going forward, I assume, but you're less likely to fall for things once you've apologized the first time. And the thing that I noticed and that drove me so crazy about Washington that I finally left was the cyclical nature of bad decision making. They wouldn't just make bad decisions again and again. They would make the same bad decisions again and again and again based on the same faulty assumptions. And they could do that because no one was ever held to account for any failure or disaster ever. The only people who were ever punished were the people who complained about it. And I watched that and it drove me nuts. And I just don't want to add to that. I don't want to be part of that at all. For all my faults, I don't want to be part of that. So that's it. I'm not running for anything. And if, people think I'm not credible because I changed my mind about the Iraq war or because I was shocked that Trump launched a war he said he wouldn't launch, I get it. I understand why people feel that way. I'm not mad about it.
This is my last question. It's a personal one. I talk to a lot of people, left and right, about you. A lot of them used to be your friends. I mean, or they said they were close to you or spent time with you.
They're all mad at me now.
Well, they all say that you've changed. Some
holy shit. Okay. I
say you've sort of become untethered from reality. And the question
Am I supposed to believe that this is not the most transparent attempt by the New York Times to present Tucker Carlson as reasonable? Yeah, your shitty right-wing friends say you've really changed for the better.
Them had was what happened to Tucker Carlson. And it's something that I've heard echoed a lot. You're an object of a lot of fascination, continuing interest. You are at the center of a lot of our cultural conversations. And I wonder how you would answer that question.
Well, I marvel at it, and I mean this sincerely. I don't find myself very interesting at all. I feel like I'm as transparent as I can be. So the idea that I've changed, well, yeah, I hope.
I mean, I agree. You're about as transparent as you can be, which is not transparent at all, which is completely opaque.
So, America, and if you still think that making the world better is as simple as sending aircraft carriers to a foreign country, if you think the way to improve discourse is by banning.
NPR lady is doing propaganda for White House replacement guy telling me that I'm dumb. I wish I could, man. I fucking wish I could.
If you think the vax is safe and effective, I don't know what to tell you. Like, have you not been paying attention? Apparently not. Or maybe you're just resistant to the conclusions. But it's really important, if you advocate for something, to watch, to stay patient and see how it winds up. And if you spend a lot of time telling people this is true and then you find out it's not true, you have an obligation to say, I'm sorry, I told you that was true, but it turns out it's not safe and effective. And regime change isn't that simple. And no, speech codes don't work, or whatever you were advocating for. So yeah, of course I've changed. I mean, the changes that have taken place in this country since August of 1991, when I entered the workforce, are bewildering to me. I mean, so much has changed. So many of my assumptions have been blown up, just evaporated under the pressure of reality, that if I still clung to those, that would be shameful. That would be dishonest. And I don't want to be that.
And you would never be
Tucker
dishonest.
Carlson, this has been so interesting. Thank you so much.
No, it
for
hasn't.
Your time.
Oh,
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Aw.
I appreciate it.
I could go the rest of my life not hearing.
After these interviews, we reached out to Carlson's representative to get clarity on his claims that Senator Ted Cruz and Ambassador Mike Huckabee have advocated for the murder of children and other innocent civilians. She responded in an email, quote, Gaza. When asked for comment, Huckabee replied that, quote, no sane person advocates for the murder of children or civilians, and called the allegation, quote, sick and evil. Cruz replied that we should spend our time, quote, actually covering people who still matter. We also reached out to Sean Hannity, who denied that he pressured President Trump to go to war with Iran.
I think Hassan is too soft when he goes on people's programs. I think if he was more adversarial, it would be to his benefit. Yeah, I think I've said this before, that I think so. It's just like a hard skill to master, and it takes a long time. One thing I will say is he has gotten progressively better at it. I feel like I remember the stuff that he did like a few years back relative to the stuff that he's done. Even like with what's a Steyer? Why am I forgetting? Tom Steyer. That was really good. That was really, really good. So I think he's gotten a lot better. Again, this just feels like one of those things that's like a muscle you have to flex, and it's just something that you're never going to get better at unless you just keep working at it. And I think he's gotten a lot better. And it's kind of fun to watch that development and that growth. It's like, yay, yes, grill them, grill. Also, it depends on the who. I think he legit moved the main pod guy's views now left on Gaza. I agree.
Levin denied this as well, and both Levin and Laura Loomer denied that they had ever been out to get Vice President J.D. Vance. We also reached out to Rupert Murdoch and Miriam Adelson, but they did not respond to our request for comment.
No, you're joking.
I'm Lulu Garcia Navarro.
And I'm David Marchese.
And we're the hosts of The Interview, an audio and video podcast from the New York Times.
Every week we interview fascinating...
That's enough. Denims when the man talks. Silence, Moyd. Oh, look at him. He's like, streamer lady, when are you going to end stream? Ask me. Want to buy your kitty? I know. Isn't he great? I know. How about a goodbye stretch for the stream? Yes. Oh, yeah. Look at him. He looks like such a fat baby. Oh, yes.